Pretty cool time out here right now. I've never been here before, this particular area that I'm at, and it's just right outside where I live at, and it's beautiful. There's a little light breeze, and you hear the birds going, and some people walking a trail, and what's interesting is that there's a lot of wildness here, and it's so close by where I live at, and it's just next door, it's just right there. And there's a book that really gave me context. That quote that I put there in the front there that says that you don't just have a life, you're in your life. And that's really important. You don't just have a life, you're in your life. We've all probably heard that saying that perception is everything, and we hear it and we go, okay, but the closest thing to you is you. And yet, the vast, overwhelming number of people that are out there today don't actually know who that person is, who that you is. Jesus says to love your neighbor as what? As you love yourself. Now today there's a lot of quote unquote self-love. The problem is it's coming from a place of selfishness. It's a smaller case S. And so it has a feel of realness, but a lot of that quote unquote realness is it's what is known. It's the thing that's known to us. And that's the problem, is what we know is actually very much a stranger. It's ambiguous, but it's something that seems to work until it doesn't work. And so there's this book called Wild at Heart by John Eldredge. I think it came out in 2005, I think. It's been around a while, but it's a classic. It's particularly a classic. It's about understanding the soul of a man. Easy enough, right? But for any of us that have wound up in a land of vastness, and it feels unfamiliar. We feel like there's a person that's there, but we don't know who that person is. We don't know how to access them. Well, this book is a fantastic primer, an introduction, if you will, to how we get lost. How does it start? We don't aim to get lost. Nobody finds a trailhead and then says, let's just go get lost. No, it happens by a step here and a misstep here and a misstep there. And you look up and, there's a dried bone over here. It's real. And if we don't take the time to understand the context that we're in, who we are creating a lot of stress in our lives, and we're creating an incredible amount of havoc. And the problem is we just perpetuate it. And what happens is that there's a breaking point and there's a crisis. And maybe that crisis you've already had, maybe you're in the midst of it now. And I don't pretend to have all of the answers, but what I do know is I've spoken to a lot of men, and we all have this commonality. We all have this, it's a common theme that we all have. And we all are trying to fake it till we make it, except we don't ever make it. And so I'm going to throw up I'll put up a picture of Wild at Heart. I'm also going to tell you that this book is essential. It is essential. I read it twice, and then God used, after the second time, it was actually given to me by somebody I dated prior to my wife. And she's like, here, you need this. Gives it to me, and all right. And I read it. I knew there was something to it, but I couldn't quite articulate it. Read it again, still couldn't quite grasp what it was, how it pertained to my life. And it wasn't until later when I got married and my wife and I were having a talk, and God used her and used that moment to pierce into something. And it was essential. So I'm going to go over some more on what that book is about, but I just wanted to put it out there.